Hello friends and potential friends. Now let's see, today is Friday, April 15th, 2022. It's about 10:30 in the morning, up about 77 degrees in my garden, and they've been teasing me with the possibility of rain, but so far it looks like it's just a tease. So I'll probably be out here watering the garden before too long, because if I don't, it won't rain. But anyway, a few interesting things going on out here. For one thing, in the strawberries, we got blossoms all over the place. We've got a couple of strawberries starting to ripen. There's another runner that'll be getting planted before too awful long, hopefully. Nasturtium's still doing good down there. And there's the one that I'm really waiting on. That one's getting close. I'm watching it. I'm also watching the bugs. Over here in the tater tower, nasturtiums are doing good. Marigolds are going to seed. In fact, I need to collect those heads, put them away for next time. But yeah, taters are growing fairly good out here. This was the first batch. And then over in the, what should we call it now? I guess it's still a salad tower. The mint down there at the bottom apparently is not getting enough water. But these Everglades tomatoes are doing good. I see a sucker over there I need to pull. It's hard to keep track of the suckers out here. And surprisingly, there is still a little bit of lettuce growing in here. Now, the cabbage heads at the top, that one's not a head, but that one is. I think I got 3 of them that have formed fairly nice heads, although they're only about the size of a baseball. I'll probably be harvesting those before too long and maybe turn them into a quart of sauerkraut or something. But towers are doing pretty good out front here, especially those strawberries. Now, back here in the back, in the container garden, still got some ponderosa lemons left over from last year. Need to do something with them, but I don't really have a space to plant them. I don't know, maybe I'll plant them anyway. But there's the last of the Amish paste tomatoes to come out of the lab. Mint back here is doing good, so I'm not going to lose the mint. It's hard to lose anyway. There's a couple of homestead tomatoes that recently came out of the lab. Back here in the shade, so far I'm not seeing any sprouts in the ginger or turmeric. It should be getting warm enough for those things to start becoming active. So I'm just watching them every day, waiting to see the little sprouts pop up. The potatoes that I planted back here in the experimental bed seem to be doing okay. A couple of them are yellowing a little bit. It's really too early for that. And I planted out the last of the Praxis cherry tomatoes yesterday. Was it yesterday? No, day before. So these are all Praxis cherry tomatoes at this end of the bed. And we still have a couple of pineapples up here on the patio. I've been slowly moving the pineapples out to the mini orchard. Except for these two. There's my little guy starting to form his little green crown. And the big one over here has definitely got his crown. Looking good. I don't know how big they're going to get, but I'd sure like to see this one in particular get a little bit bigger since it's such a nice sized plant. Let's see, the green stalk over here. Got taters in the bottom 3 tiers, and they're starting to come up. These are about 3 weeks behind the ones that are out front. And the top 3 tiers, I've got 2 tiers of sweet basil. Seems to be coming up pretty good all around. And then 1 tier of holy basil, and that seems to be coming up as well. And yesterday, I started putting together the other tower. This is going to be the portal into my garden between these 2 towers. It's actually about the edge of the patio right there, so pretty good place to put them. Haven't got any soil in this one yet, but I do have some more potatoes in the kitchen that are starting to sprout, so I'll probably put a few tiers of potatoes in here too. And that'll give me a third planting with about a month between each planting. Let's see over here. I keep getting flowers on the eggplants, but so far I'm not seeing any fruit. I know I've got plenty of pollinators out here. You know, there's one of my little green lizards down there. I don't know whether you can see him there in the rosemary. But there's his tail end. So yeah, they're coming out. That's the anole or we call them chameleons because they change color. Back in the back there, I've got a few Amish paste tomatoes. Don't see any fruit on them yet, but I do see another sucker that needs to come off. And kohlrabi up here in the front. None of these kohlrabi have ever formed any bulbs. I believe they just have too much shade in here. Elderberry still doing pretty good. Let me swing around here to the sweet potatoes. These are the sweet potatoes that I grew from slips, and I do have a few more slips that are starting to poke up in the little slip bucket. I'll be adding them over here as soon as they get big enough to take off the feeder or the seed potatoes, because I've got a few empty spots in here. I want to make sure I get those filled in. Let's see, out in the main beds, out and around the main beds, I guess I should say. Piled up all over here at this end is Amish paste tomatoes. I put a few of them right in the bed itself, and the rest are in containers. And I'm gonna be having tomatoes before too long. There's one there, another one over here, and I believe there are a few more scattered in there as well. Those are the Amish paste. Here's another of the pineapples. In the center of the bed, I finally got my California Wonder bell peppers planted out. Got 20 of them in here. That should fill up the center of this bed nicely. And then at the far end, I've got the homestead tomatoes, and those are growing good. I need to get some more tomato cages because they're taking up a lot of space in here, but let's see if I can zoom in on this guy. Yeah, there he is. It looks like it's going to be my first homestead tomato for the year. And the rest of these are just scattered all around in containers. Hiding down there amongst them is the elephant garlic. Still growing good though. And let me swing you around and take a look at the rosemary. Yes, we still have rosemary. And I'm not sure what this is. It's coming from back there behind them somewhere. Oh, and incidentally, this tropical thing, I don't know what it's called. I think it's like an umbrella plant or something like that. It's finally gotten warm enough to where it's putting on its leaves. And the dragon tree is doing real good. When I got that dragon tree, it was about 2 inches tall. Used to keep it in a little decorative container on my desk when I worked at the college up in Jacksonville. That was 30 years ago. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Now, my pride and joy, sweet potatoes from seed. I planted 22 seedlings in here, and they're going crazy. Growing much thicker than the ones that I grew from slips. Do have flowers here and there, and they are starting to climb up this fence that I put around them. That was just a couple days ago, so they've already found it and claimed it as theirs. So far they're pretty impressive. I'm not gonna put any bets on yield until I start digging, but so far I'm pretty happy with those. Over here in the next set of beds, got all my radishes, and there's actually a few turnips here at the end. In fact, I haven't looked at them recently, but I know I saw some bulbs in there a week or so ago. And it's too thick to really spot any right now. But the radishes are all going to seed. And I'm starting to get a bunch of pods. I do have one problem though. I was told these things are good in stir fry. But in order to try them in stir fry, they have to make it into the house. And so far they're having a hard time doing that. Because I pick a few and pop them in my mouth and then go on to the next things. Onions are doing fairly good. The greens are growing good in any case. And there are a few of them starting to form bulbs. Let's see if I can zoom in there, and yeah, you can almost see that bulb forming there. It's about an inch in diameter, to be honest. But it's better than I've ever done before, so I'm not going to complain. A couple of the red ones are forming bulbs too. Carrots, I haven't started digging under them yet, but they certainly need to be thinned out pretty quick. Otherwise, they're doing good. And now up here in the bean garden, we've got the rattlesnake beans that are all the way to the top of the trellis. Looks like we may have flowers forming pretty soon, so I might be munching on beans to go with my radish pods before long. Out in front here, I've got the kiddo corn. And as far as that knee-high by the 4th of July, well, like I said, today's April 15th. And I don't think that's going to be a problem getting knee-high by 4th of July. If I was standing in this bed right now, a couple of these plants would almost be up to my knees already. Another pineapple over here. And a few more over here. There's the bodacious sweet corn, and that's growing fairly good too. And I'm closer to the ground on that one, so there's my knee. Add a foot to that, and yep, I don't think knee-high by the 4th of July is going to be a problem. And then over here on this side of the bean trellis, these are the pink-eyed purple hulls, and they're trying to claim their space on the trellis too. And in front of them is some more turnips. And I believe I saw a turnip starting to form a bulb in here. And there's a little one there. Won't count that one. But there it is. Yeah. I hope you can see that back in there. That one's a little bit bigger than the size of a marble. So along with the greens, I might get some turnips out of them. Let's see, over here we have collards are going crazy. I need to really do a harvest on those because they're getting quite a bit of undergrowth down there. Kale is not doing all that well. Of course, it's been fighting it out for sunlight with the kohlrabi. A couple of them are losing that battle, but one of them is doing real good. And the kohlrabi back behind them, I don't know whether those are going to turn into real bulbs or not, but that one sitting out there in the middle is probably going to get eaten before too long. And then there's more eggplants back behind them. And then the patience garden. Now the patience garden has really been trying to test my patience. In fact, I shot a short the other day that I haven't posted yet, looking primarily at this guy. That was a temptation. I managed to resist so far. And there's another temptation coming up right there. They're getting bigger, but this is only the second year for these, so I am so far managing to resist. And then finally over here we have the Everglades tomatoes, and there are a few tiny tomatoes in here. Yeah, there's some. There's a couple. About the size of a pea so far. But it's trying to put on a bunch of them. So I'll be snacking on cherry tomatoes pretty quick here. And they seem to be pretty happy. Now the mini orchard out there, I'm not going to walk out there. But things are doing well. I've got another pineapple that I moved out there. It's not looking real good, but I moved it out there. It's in its final stages anyway because it already produced a pineapple, and before I took it out and planted it out there, I also cut a pup off of it that I've got in the lab trying to grow roots. Generally with the pineapples, once they form a fruit, the main plant dies, and it may or may not produce pups before it goes. Everything else out there is doing about the same. Moringa is starting to grow leaves again back there in the corner, and everything is greening up nicely. So I think I'm gonna call it quits here because the oak pollen is falling all over me. It's overcast now. It was sunny a little bit ago. But anyway, that's the main part of the garden. It's greening up nicely. Everything is taking off, and I've been eating those radish pods for about a week now. Can't wait to see what those sweet potatoes do next. But that's it for now, and I'll see you on the next one.